is what happened to you. Responsibility is how you respond, good people. In today's episode, here's the deeper question that me and my good friend Dr. Ford is going to ask you, right? At what point does awareness stop being information and start becoming responsibility, good people? That's why I got my good friend Dr. Larry Ford here to help me answer that question today. Welcome him to the community. Yeah, Dr. Larry Ford, founder of Hands to Guide You Mental Behavioral Health Clinic, right here in OKC, baby, with over 20 years of experience in helping thousands of patients answer this same question that he's gonna be helping us answer today. So welcome him back to the show. He ain't no stranger, but welcome
No,
back to
I'm
the
back,
show,
baby.
Dr.
I'm
Larry
back.
Ford, man. How you been, man?
I'm good. How are you doing? How are you doing? I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. A little under the weather, but you know,
Hey,
FL, you know how we do it. MJ
hey,
with
you
the
know how
shot.
we do
Ain't
it.
no ducking. Yeah, MJ with the shot. Ain't no ducking. I'm here. I'm ready.
Hey, come on, baby. You already know
Yeah.
MJ flu game.
Yeah. Ain't no.
Yeah. So you know what, man? Listen, this ain't about minimizing trauma. This ain't about
Nope.
blaming people, right? This is asking a mature question, like I said, a deeper question. At what point does your awareness really make you accountable? And that's what we're gonna talk about today. So you know what? You know how we do it. We ain't gonna hold no people, man. We ain't gonna hold you for to jump right into it. So let's just start off the conversation right now, man, talking about what is awareness or what is trauma? How do you define trauma clinically? Like, how would you define that? How do you define that clinically?
Was trauma is something that affects your nervous system. You know, you have acute trauma, which is a single episode. You have chronic trauma, which is something that lasts is, for us clinically, something that lasts over 30 days that affects you. And then you have developmental trauma, something that happens when the brain is still forming. But to go back to what you were saying earlier, you know, understanding the nervous system explains your reactions, but it doesn't excuse the impact that you have when you have that trauma. You know what I
Got you.
mean? Because awareness is key. You know,
Got you.
it's one thing when you don't know understand. And I'm just break I my one of the things I do clinically is I break it down in the simplest forms and simplest way that people can understand. It's one thing when you don't know how to cross the street and you don't understand what it means to look both ways before you cross the street. But it's another thing when you understand how to look both ways before to cross the street and you understand what a car can do to your body. That's trauma.
Got you. Got you. Got you. That makes sense. So would it be safe to say? So would it be safe to say that trauma isn't just what happens? Trauma is what our nervous system never resolves. Is that kind of what I'm hearing you say? Trauma is kind of
Yeah.
like what our nervous system never
Never
resolves.
finished. Never. Trauma is something that, if we're talking about a nervous system, trauma is something that your nervous system never finished. So
Wow.
imagine building a house and you build the house and then you don't have a roof on it. That's
Wow.
trauma.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So would it be safe to say then this is why some people are highly successful, but they're still reactive? Because like we always say, when you have a dysregulated nervous system, there can be no
Well, you getting
revelation.
deep fast. You getting deep fast. Slow
So kind of
down. You
explain
getting
that a
deep
little bit.
fast.
So kind of explain that you can be successful but still reactive because that's due to trauma, right? The trauma that's unresolved in the nervous system.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it becomes down to so it so we you know we talk about it's the clinically we talk about the tripartite
Okay.
three partner three steps: awareness, knowledge, and skill. You know, if you're not aware, you don't develop the knowledge.
Uh
If you
huh.
don't develop the knowledge, you can't acquire the skill. So
Got
it's
you.
awareness, knowledge, and skill. So you have to know that you angry. You get angry in certain situations. You have to know that you get upset. You have to know that you shut down. You have to know that you freeze in certain situations. You have to know that in certain situations, I can just freeze and shut down and say, you know what, I'm done.
Mm, mm. Got you. Got you.
But see, the second part is awareness.
Talk about that. Talk about that.
Yeah,
Talk about what
and then
awareness
and
is
I'm
in
gonna break
clinical
it
terms.
down in the simplest form. You have to know if you know if we were talking sports, you have to know that you need help off the ball screen.
Mm, yeah.
But you know how you know that? Watching film, getting video,
Come on.
and playing it over and over again. So you say, so they immediately they say, Dr. Ford, how I don't watch video in my day to day living in my day to day life. You know what you do though? You know what you do though in your day to day life? Have people that you respect and you trust and you believe in that's telling you, hey man, how many times you gonna do that
Mm-hmm.
in that same situation? That was inappropriate. You have people
Yeah.
that you trust in your life that you either listen to or you don't listen to. At what point do you start listening to them?
Mm,
That might
I
be your
like that.
wife. That might be your husband. That might be your kids.
Y-
This 2026. This ain't
Yeah.
1960s or 1970s. This is 2026. Kids are
Yeah.
much more aware than we were in the 70s.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I know my boys are.
Yeah. So at what point do you say,
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
say, man, why are you yelling all the time? Why do you do this or why do you do that? That's awareness. You have to take that. They're knowing what you do. So
Mm-hmm.
now when they're knowing what you do, they have to say, excuse me, under the weather, you have to say awareness. You know what? I'm gonna take heed to that. You know
Got
what? I'm gonna listen to that. I'm going to understand that. I'm going to listen to that more. You know what? The more I think about that, I do react that way in those situations. I do shut down in those situations. And then once you have the awareness, guess what you can do next? Apply the skill. Now it becomes, what can I do next to prevent that from happening? Because this is how I explain it, FL. I'm gonna just keep it a buck all the way.
yeah.
You know, I this is and one of the reasons I appreciate your podcast and your show, and I appreciate your followers and your community is because, man, I'm a normal person just like everybody else and everybody in the community, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity and a light to shine and just be my normal, transparent self, just like you and everybody else.
Yeah.
That's why I said keep it a buck. But what I'm gonna do today is, when I tell you, so now I'm going to say I'm gonna apply the skill after the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And then what that means is I'm going to be aware of what I now found out that I wasn't aware of. And once I become aware of something that I wasn't aware of, I make change and I make differences. So now, and this is what I was getting back to. So, I'm a little under the weather now. Well, it ain't no little. I am under the weather now. But see, your mind, you say it, you hear it, and you store it in your brain. If I
Uh-huh.
if I continue to tell myself I'm a little under the weather, I never get better.
Right.
It's
Right.
only it's only until I tell myself I'm under the weather, I need to increase my vitamin C, I need to increase my zinc, I need to increase my magnesium, that I get better. I need to increase my water intake, that I get better.
Got you.
Period. No
Got
ifs,
you.
ands, and buts about it.
About it. Yeah. Yeah. Awareness.
Period.
So would you say, I'm summarizing now for the community, I'm putting it in my own words. So would you say awareness is when you can observe a pattern about yourself without being hijacked by
Yeah, you getting deep fast. You getting deep fast.
Is that for the community? I just want to break that down. So that's kind of what you're saying. What I'm hearing you saying is that awareness is observing the pattern. You know you do something, you can see it, but you don't allow it to hijack your nervous system, basically.
But you have to be able to do it consciously in real time.
There it is. There it is. I love that. I love that. So listen. So listen. That brings us to the next part about the responsibility, right? So I kind of want to tie this in to the responsibility part, which I said earlier is that trauma is what happens to us. Responsibility is how you respond, right? So if you're reacting, that's coming from a dysregulated nervous system, like we talk about. A response is coming from a regulated nervous system, right? Because you got a refractory period in between amygdala, prefrontal cortex. So, clinically speaking, this is the question I got for the community and for you. So, clinically speaking, is it fair? I wrote this down. Is it fair to say that responsibility increases as regulation increases? Kind of break that down a little bit.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it like this: trauma explains behavior, responsibility govern. No, trauma explains behavior, and then responsibility governs the behavior.
Mm,
So
mm.
responsibility is the I'll say the mechanism that provides the behavior.
Okay, 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 okay. Got you,
Yeah, because
got
when
you.
you because it's three, it's a. So let me break it down simple. It's a two-part system. You react or you respond. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to think to react. If you react, you're using your amygdala, the back part of the brain. That's fast. That's emotional. That's defensive, and that's amygdala driven. Driven.
Okay.
The back part that you know that's
Patterns.
across the street. That's across the street. I'm crossing the street. I don't have time to think. I have to run across the street, right? But when you respond, that takes thought.
Mm.
That takes effort. That takes energy. That's slower. That's more thoughtful. That's more intentional. That's more prefrontal. That's just that's just I'm not gonna be clinical. That just takes more effort and energy, and that just takes more thought. And it's more intentional.
Got you, got you, got you. So the more regulated you are, the less reactive you are, is what I'm hearing you say, which means the less reactive you are, the more responsible you are with your time, relationships, money, identity, and health. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm gonna say it like this. Dysregulated people don't make good decisions. Regulated people make good decisions.
There
Period.
it is. There it is. And that's why we always say there can be no revelation without regulation. You got to learn to regulate your nervous system, with the word. Okay, so now this is the core question I want to get to. This is the core question of the whole
The
live
more
right
the
here.
more and I'm gonna say this,
Yeah.
the more regulated you are, the less reactive you are. So if and just think about this, and again, I'm not talking about anybody, period,
Mm-hmm.
including me and you.
Yeah.
But if you're a reactive person, if you're known for being a reactive person, you just react all the time. And I'm doing that for a reason, because that doesn't take thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I respond, that takes thought.
Mm.
So the more reactive that you are, the more regulated that you are.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm. So the more reactive that you are, the more dysregulated you are, the more responsive you are, the more regulated you are.
Man, I
Correct?
knew you was gonna say that. I didn't play with you. Man, we've been doing this over 20 years, FL, and and that's why I did it like that. The ball screen came up. I just passed it to you, and
You
you
know
know
I
what I'm
was
gonna say
ready.
now. When you become regulated, you know what regulated means, and it stands for
What?
accountability.
Mm. Which brings me to the core, which brings me to the core question of the whole live. At what point does awareness literally become accountability? I'm gonna let you
When
answer
you
that.
can clearly see patterns. When you can clearly see
Wow.
patterns. If I'm playing this team, if I'm playing a team, we talking about basketball. Let's keep it a buck. If
Yeah.
we talking about basketball and we're playing a team and I'm a guard, right? I'm a point guard. So they're coming up and they set screens to get their point guard off because he's a shooter. They set a screen at the top of the key. So once I recognize that they're setting the screen, I have to become aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I
Mm-hmm.
don't become aware of that, I can't stop the play and I can't prevent him from getting the ball. So, okay, well, we're not playing basketball. We're talking about real life. So once I'm driving in the car and I realize and I accept and I understand that every time somebody swerves or or does something that affects me mentally in the car when I'm driving to work and I get upset, I have to understand that that affects me and that dysregulates my regulation or my nervous system. I have to be aware of that. And I have to say, you know what? I'm going to let that go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So see, I like to see. Look, I wrote down here for
No
me.
control, no influence.
Yeah, yeah. See, I wrote down here for me, awareness is the moment, just like you said, when you see it, you can't unsee it. So whether you change it or not, that becomes a choice. But awareness starts holding you accountable. I wrote this down. Awareness starts holding you accountable the second you recognize the pattern. What you just say, pattern recognition, right? The second you recognize the pattern, man, that's when
And I'm
awareness
gonna
kicks
say
in,
this:
good people.
if you cannot see it, you cannot interrupt it. If you can't see the pick coming, if you can't see the car coming, you can't stop it from hitting you. It's
Yeah,
only when you can see the car coming that you can stop it from hitting you or interrupting your day.
yeah,
Period.
yeah. Got you, got you. I like that. So listen. So me and you kind of talked about this before too. So do you ever outgrow external accountability? Would you say that there's a point in life to where you kind of outgrow the external accountability?
Well, I would ask you to explain external accountability.
So external accountability will be like where some people like accountability groups, or like you always got to be around mastermind groups or coaches or something. When does self leadership kick in over you actually getting coaching? So kind of like, well, what I do with my community, I always tell my one-on-one clients, if you always got to come back to me to get answers, I'm not doing my job, because my job is to prepare you internal accountability, right? Give you the tools you need so you can be independent or dependent on your own self to hold yourself accountable, right? So at what point do you think external accountability kind of is no longer needed, or is it always needed?
And 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 I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying, and I say something that's very similar to that because our services are brief and intermittent. You don't need us all the time, every day, all day. However, situations do come up, right? And when you were talking, one of the first things that came, I'm gonna give you a couple scenarios. One of the first things that came to my mind was Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm.
He's a award-winning actor, right? He's close to retirement. Only has a few movies left, according to him. He still has a training coach.
Got
Now,
you.
does he use the training coach the way he used them 20 or 30 or 40 years ago? Absolutely not. But when he's in a new situation that in unfamiliar territory that ruffles his feathers, aka or dysregulates his nervous system, Absolutely. Or a new cast or a new role that he's never played or isn't familiar playing or isn't comfortable playing. Does he use that acting coach more than he's used them in 20 years or 10 years or 5 years or 2 years for the last role? Absolutely. And
Man,
that's
I
what I'm
like
saying.
that. I like that, man, because that's kind of what I tell my community, right? And that's why I do one-on-one sessions the way I do them. Because, like you said, you need coaching in new opportunities, new situations,
And I talk to
new.
you. I talk to you every week, FL.
Yeah,
I've been doing
yeah.
this almost 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah, no, real talk. I say the same thing. External accountability groups are needed. You just got to understand the proper positioning and where to put them, just like what you just said. So, man, I love that answer, man. I love that. So,
Self-regulation and internal discipline.
yeah,
Period.
yeah, so listen, man, before we get up out of here, and if you got questions, drop them down below. This is a live Q&A. So before we get up out of here, give the community 3 steps, man, that they can do today to start turning that awareness into accountability. What would you say? What are steps that you actually give your patients, man, where they can start really turning that awareness into accountability today?
Identifying patterns that you keep just step 1 is identifying patterns that you keep justifying. Step 2 is separating triggers from choices. And
Okay.
step 3 is regulate before you respond.
Wow. 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 Wow.
And
Man,
I'm gonna
repeat
break
that.
that
Repeat
down.
that one
Give me
more
a
time.
second. Yeah, I'm gonna break that down. Step
Okay.
1 is identifying patterns you keep justifying. Step 2 is separating your triggers from your choices. And step 3 is regulating before you respond. So step 1, when you say uh, identifying the pattern that you keep justifying, why are they always blaming me? Why do they always say that's how I am? Or I've been this way my whole life. You took no awareness. FL, if you said, hey man, why is it that every time you get a double team, the first thing you do is shoot the ball?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I've been doing that my whole life. You know what I just told you? I'm not considering any awareness to what I'm currently doing.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
you just told me what I'm currently doing is a problem. And this is key, not only for myself, but for everybody around me,
Mm-hmm.
family, friends,
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Step 2, separate trigger from choices. Triggers happen. That's automatic. Triggers happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's automatic. FL, behavior is chosen.
Mm.
You can pick me up 94 feet if you want to. Behavior is chosen.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I like
So
that.
but you have to understand there's a gap between the trigger and the behavior. So
Talk a
you
little bit
picking
about
me
that
up.
gap.
Okay. So let me keep it simple. Because there's a gap between trigger and behavior. So man. So you can decide, like I can't control. There are certain things in my life that I can control. There's certain things in my life that I can't control. If
Uh-huh.
me and you, we're on this podcast, we're on this show, and theoretically we're next to each other. If you decide to turn the wheel and get in my lane, I can't control that. What I can control is how I respond to what you do.
Mm. I
Now,
like
if I
that.
react, it doesn't take me thinking. But if I respond, it takes me thinking to what I'm going to do after you make the decision that you're already prepared to make.
I like that. I like that. So what you're saying is we got to get in the pattern because, like you said, pattern is reactive, right? We got to slow ourselves down enough to be able to regulate. It's called a refractory period, if I'm correct, right? That
Yes,
little
period.
refractory
Yes,
period.
sir.
Yeah, to where
Yeah.
you have that little pause in between to where you can breathe, take a breath, right? And then you get to choose. See, I always tell the community everything doesn't need a response. So you have to be regulated enough to know what you need to respond to and what you just need to let pass on by. So I love that separate trigger from choices. Now break down the last
Number
step.
three, number three, number three is regulate before you respond. So, and I'm using this car situation because I'm just being transparent. I'm a
Yeah.
transparent person. I've been practicing on the south side of Oklahoma City for over 20 years, and I'm just a very transparent person. And it was many years ago, and I'm using these examples based on life experiences. It's
Yeah.
been plenty of times where I've been in situations, uh, car swerved in front of me or whatever the case may be, or been in a situation on the south side of Oklahoma City. And nothing against the south side of Oklahoma City. But you know what I had to do? Let me take a break.
Yeah.
Let me pull over. Let me get my thoughts together and my mind right. As I
Mhm.
always say when I walk in that gym, let me get my mind right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me count to 10 and breathe.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me label these emotions. Let me understand how they made me feel or what they made me think.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
think before I speak. It's
Yeah.
so easy to just honk, 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 honk the horn and and yell some explicit messages. Years ago, I would there's a high probability I would have done the same thing. In 2026, when I see that, I just say, oh, they're just dysregulated. It's a they may not be aware.
Yeah.
They may
Yeah.
not be aware because if they're willing to do that to me, who they don't know and who they've never seen, it's a probability that they do that all in their life and they'll do that for the rest of their day.
Man, I like that. See, look, I always say that too, man. You got to pause, right? I always say you got to name it to be able to reframe it. Just what you just
Come on,
said. You
man.
got to name it to be able to reframe it. You got to sit with it, right?
Come
Don't
on,
rush
man.
past it. Don't judge it. Just awareness so you can reframe
Come
it.
on, man.
Okay, that's the pattern. This is the pattern, but this is who I am now. So you got to name it to reframe it. Yeah, so I like that. So it's
Even the
called a
coach
regular.
called timeout, FL. Even the coach called timeout.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I like that. When things
Phil
get too
Jackson
hot,
called timeout. Phil Jackson won the 11 championship. Even he called timeout. Hey man, timeout. We need a break. We need to regroup. Timeout. So Phil Jackson won 11 championships, one of the best coaches ever in NBA history. He's calling timeout in a game that's intense in front of 20,000 people for 48 minutes. He's calling timeouts, and they give you a certain amount of timeouts throughout the game. My question is, when do we call timeout in life?
come on.
So we're
That's
not
it.
calling timeout in life. We're not willing to call a timeout in life. But you know what Phil Jackson has to do to call a timeout in life? Be aware
Be
of the
aware.
situation that he's in.
Man, I like that. I love it. Awareness. Awareness demands responsibility. So listen, as we close, I'm gonna leave you with this. We don't choose what happened, but we do decide who we become afterwards. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Dr. Ford, you got anything else to say to lead the community with? We don't choose what happened to us, but we do decide who we become after. So any lasting words you want to leave the community before we get up out of here today?
Man, we don't get to choose what happened to us, but once we're aware of what happens and our patterns, we do get to choose what we reinforce. Period.
There it is.
We don't
There
get
it
to
is, good
choose.
people.
We don't get to choose what happens to us in life, but we do get to choose what we're aware to in life and what we reinforce. Period.
Man, I love it. I love it. So there it is. Listen, that's Soul True Sunday today. Trauma versus responsibility. Tell the people where they can find you at, Dr. Ford.
Man, you can find me at support@h2gy.com. You can find me on Facebook at Hands to Guide You. Hands to Guide You. Instagram, I believe, is Dr. Larry Ford. Man, I'm in the community. I'm on the 1016 Southwest 44th Street, Suite 500. Hands to Guide You. Behavioral health. I've been there over 15 years. I'm on in the community, serving the people that I love to see each and every day. Be there tomorrow. Just that's where I am, man.
So there it is. There it is. And he joins me every first Sunday of every month so
Every
we can
first
have
Sunday.
these conversations like this. So we
Even
can
when I'm
help
sick
you.
and under the weather.
Yeah,
Even when I'm sick and under the weather. There's no
on the weather.
excuses. Just like I won't have one tomorrow. I have a mask on, but I'm still gonna serve the community. I'm still gonna do what I'm called to do because I've been aware and see FL. This is, I'm a fan of yours, so I watch you. This is comes from your other shows. I know what I've been called to do, so I'm still gonna do what I'm called to do, even when I don't feel my greatest or my best. I'm just gonna put a mask on and wear a mask. I'm still gonna serve the community.
That's it.
And that's
That's it,
great for
man.
you.
Hey, that's it. The call. I always tell people that, man, you cannot, when you've been called to do something, it's not a matter of should I do it or should I not. The call is so strong, you can't help but do it. Whether you sick, whether you this, it's the call. It's the internal pull that pulls you to really be free. But in order to do that, what we got to do, you know what I always say before we get up out of here, there can be no revelation without regulation. So that's the theme.
Straight up.
So listen, until next Sunday, good people. Join me next Sunday. I'm gonna be talking about influence, impact, income in that order. And if you reverse that order, while you can still have income without success, being unfulfilled. And I'm gonna talk about how it was a time in my life where I had grew our commercial cleaning company to over 200K. And I'm sitting in my game room and I was unfulfilled because I reversed that order. I went income and tried to go impact, influence instead of influence, impact, income. So you don't want to miss that episode next week, man. We're going to talk about it. So until next time.
Because I remember that. I can't wait to see that one. Yeah.
So listen, until next time, listen, me, myself, FL, your life coach, Dr. Larry Ford, we signing off. And listen, man, y'all have a great Sunday today. And remember, no matter what you do, no matter what conversations you have today, no matter where you find yourself today, you already know what to do, good people. Dare to be you. Happy Sunday.
See you
later, Dr. Ford.
All right.